award-winning financial advisor, Winnie Sun.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in. I know this is not my typical time, but I wanted to come to you live and give you an update on the financial markets because if you've been watching the news, listening, and hearing about the news coming out of Russia and Ukraine, you've probably been a little bit nervous and maybe looking at the stock market and wondering what to do. So I thought I would come to you and let you know exactly what we are talking to our clients about and making sure that you knew what was happening with your own finances. All right. So let me start and talk about where the market is currently. So currently the Dow is down 519 points. It was actually down significantly more just moments ago. The S&P is also down 37 points, but surprisingly, you might be surprised. I'm not that surprised. The Nasdaq's actually up 56 points. Now, understand the Nasdaq was down tremendously more just earlier today, as well as the S&P, as well as the Dow. Now, I want to share this quote because I think it kind of tells a lot. And, certainly, there's a lot of things happening in the financial markets right now. And you might think, well, what do I do? Right? I got to put this into perspective. And I think, there have been a lot of wise words that have come from many pundits. But the question is, with Russia invading the Ukraine, how is the market right now? Now, for the first time since March of 2020, the S&P 500 index officially moved into correction territory, now down over 10% from our recent highs. Of course, as you saw, and are you seeing right now, many stocks have already been in correction mode for the last few days, with some even in bear market mode. Now, this is yet something that investors are worried about. Couple that with things such as inflation, right? Interest rate concerns, what the Fed's going to be doing next month. And we're adding in still, we're not completely done with this pandemic. So a lot of things to be concerned about, and not to mention supply chain issues as well. So the question might be next then, what does history tell us? And I want to share this with you because I think it's very important. When you're investing in the stock market, you need to understand history as well as where we are currently so you can have a better understanding and comfort of what's going to be ahead for us as well. Now, historically, it's important to point out that S&P 500 averages about 10% correction a year. And as you know, it's been about 2 years since we've had a correction of 10%. Now, so some may say, well, perhaps, we are overdue for a correction or a pullback, but certainly Russia and the Ukraine news here in the United States may have felt like it just sort of came out of nowhere, right? We certainly didn't expect it at this time. So you might say, well, is that really accurate? Maybe this correction is something greater to be concerned about. Well, here's what I want you to know. This is the next question I would ask is, what does this mean? Is the market going to dramatically go even lower, right? Here's my take on this. Now, I've been a financial advisor now for 22 years, and I will say this. This is what I think you should expect in the near term. You should brace for more dramatic volatility for sure. Large dips should be expected. What you're seeing today is probably not going to be the last day. Now, understand, just because increased volatility doesn't mean that things will just only go down. Sometimes it will go down, but you also see improvements as well. And we're seeing a little glimmer of hope right now in the NASDAQ, right? So what does that mean? That means some investors are out there bottom fishing. Now, there's some good news here, and I wanted to talk about that. And this is something that you should be paying attention to as well. Good news is coming. The good news is that historically, stocks do rather well after corrections. In fact, LPL Financial recently shared their chart of the day. And I'll make sure to share this with you. If you follow the Sun Group website and if you subscribe to our newsletter, we'll be sharing this. The chart of the day shows that this is the 33rd correction or bear market for the S&P 500 since 1950. And I want to give this analogy because I think it's going to make a lot of sense. And just like forest fires, that go through a forest, they burn everything. It feels like they're burning everything in their tracks. Well, flowers and trees will make their ways back up, grow again, little rain, little sunshine, and so will the market. So, as scary as and unsettling as today's market is, as well as yesterday, over time, growth will continue. In fact, when we study previous corrections and bear markets, the S&P 500 has risen nearly 90% of the time a year or two later with very strong, healthy returns. So just remember that 90% the S&P a year or two later from that. So what do we do now, right? Are we going into the bear market? You might be asking that question. Now, this is something I want to talk about because a bear market, what does this really mean? And are we going to have this right in front of us, right? Or are we in the bear market now? Now, this is something investors are paying very close attention to. Here's what we know for now. With the economy still strong, believe it or not, and with today's extreme market concerns, we still doubt that the S&P 500 will move into bear market territory, which for those of you who are wondering what that means is when the indice or the index, the stock market indexes are down 20% or more. That's a pretty large drop. Now, we don't expect that to occur here. Now, a major low here is likely coming pretty soon. So, maybe in the next few days, in fact. Historically, when we see a 10 to 15% correction since 1980, again, we have shown time and time again that a strong future returns will be coming back, and that's sort of the norm. So, we're going to see corrections. We're going to start to see a lot of dips here. But over time, in the near term, 1 to 2 years, could even be 6 months from now, things will start to look a lot better. Don't forget what happened during 9/11, Brexit, as well as so many other geopolitical risks and uncertainties that have affected the stock market. So here's the next question that you might be asking, and that is, where should I invest? And if I want to add to my portfolio right now, how should I be investing? Right? So we're going live for you right now. I'm telling you this all live. So there's going to be certain things I can tell you and certain things I can't tell you on a live platform. But this is what I will tell you. And this is very, very simple advice, but really good advice. So I hope you are jotting this down or listening to this. Or if you want to, you can replay this. We'll make sure to have this available for you. I want you to consider adding to your long-term financial goals and to do so aggressively and bravely. Aggressively and bravely. This is a time to invest in those long-term financial goals. Now, I'm going to preface this. If you have debt, if you have credit card debt, if you have like mountains of, student debt, I would suggest definitely reaching out and giving my team and I a call before you make these moves. In fact, if you're looking and you're wanting more advice and thinking about where I should be investing, you should be reaching out to us anyway. I'm going to give you that information at the end of this. But this is what I will say. If you have children, just like I have younger children, and they have some years before their college savings are needed, add to your child's 529 college savings plan. Okay. The 2022 maximum gifting amount this year is $16,000 per person. Now, I'm not saying that you need to do the whole 16,000. You don't even need to get close to that number. But if you have a child that's potentially going to be going to college in the future, this is a great time to be adding to that portfolio. Now, those of you who are clients of mine do know this is something we are looking at very closely for your accounts. And this is something that we would encourage you to do. Right? Many of you, if you have your checking account already linked to your 529 college savings plan, really easy. Give us a phone call, send us an email. We can go ahead and get that done, and we'll follow up with you and just confirm and make sure that's what you want to do. Okay. The next thing you want to do is consider adding to your Roth or your traditional IRA. And if you have the traditional IRA, talk to us about the backdoor Roth IRA or the Roth IRA conversion. That might be something that you could take advantage of. Now, the maximum for your IRA contribution or Roth IRA this year is going to be $6,000 for 2022. If you haven't contributed to 2021 as well, I would highly recommend that you consider doing that before your tax filing date. That gives you another $6,000 that you can contribute, with a total of $12,000 that you can go ahead and add to an IRA right now. If you're over the age of 50, you can actually get an extra $1,000 bonus that you're able to contribute to your IRA or Roth IRA for 2021 as well as 2022. So take advantage of these really, really important tax shelter, tax deferred ways of investing for that important retirement goal for each of you. So if you haven't done that yet, again, reach out to Sun Group Wealth Partners. You'll want to jump on our website. It's sungroupwp.com. And you'll want to jump on there, schedule a meeting, or send an email, and we will get back to you. We are manning emails and phones like just basically all the time right now. So that's the key. I think you should be focused on tax deferred, tax sheltered investing right now, long-term investing. It may sound simple, maybe something you've heard before. It doesn't really matter. It's really, really good advice. And if you're self-employed and you have income, I want you to talk to us about funding your SEP IRA or your defined benefit or contribution plans. This is what we know so well. We've been helping companies and individuals and my first investors to, helping executives at Fortune 500 companies with publicly traded stock for many, many years, certainly decades here. So we have a very experienced team waiting and ready to help you. The other thing I would say is if you're watching this and you're like, I wish you could come to my company and talk to us and teach us about personal finance, reach out to us as well, and we can set that up. So here's the thing. What do you buy? Once you fund your IRAs and then you fund your college savings plan, what next, right? This is what you want to do. You want to buy a diversified portfolio. Invest in sectors, not just, I didn't say individual stocks. I said invest in sectors of stocks or bonds in areas that are appropriate for you to own long-term. So I'm not talking about 6 months, even a year, 2 years. I'm talking about things that you want to buy and hold, because a buy and hold strategy is very important here. Now, if you're concerned about investing and it's keeping you up at night, definitely reach out to us. We will set up a call. We'll discuss your next steps. We'll make sure you have the tools and the information you need to get through this time and maybe even benefit from some of the dips in the market right now, which is never a bad thing. And with that, I hope this was helpful. I'm going to continue to update you on what's happening in the news. But we saw this is now the second day. Yesterday was a pretty rough day in the markets. We saw more news come last night, right? And so I imagine we're going to hear even more news. You're going to see crude oil has already jumped over $100 a barrel. Things are going to get a lot more expensive at the pump. The things that you purchase for your households are going to get more expensive as well, because as we know, gas impacts a lot of things. It's just that concern, that anxiety of the uncertainty of what's happening offshore in the Ukraine. That is enough to obviously make our U.S. markets very, very nervous. You're already hearing multiple financial markets in other parts of the world shutting down, pausing. These things are never very good for investor sentiment, and you're going to see a lot more of that trickle into the financial markets. But here's the thing. You want to keep a level head. You want to keep on top of this. You want to follow me during this time. I'm going to keep you updated, but you want to make sure that you have the right advice right now. So I'm going to share with this. I've actually never done this before, so we'll see how this works. But here's the thing. If you want to call us, okay, the phone number to reach us is going to be 949-625-6800, okay? And if you want to go and send us a message, go to sungroupwp.com, go to the contact tab, and reach out and say, I want to set up a meeting, or I have questions, or can you come to my ERG? Can you come to my company? Can you come to my scout group? Can you come to my church? Can you come to my school? Can you come to my group and talk to us about what's happening and teach us personal finance concepts so that we too can work towards financial independence? It's an open invitation. So please, I want you to take advantage of that. We would love to hear from you. But be well, stay safe, don't stress, don't go crazy here. But definitely follow news and follow very close. I have a lot more updates for you. I'm going to update you again as things continue to change. I might be coming even during this time. You might actually see me come live more than once a day, but I'll continue to keep you updated. So this is going to be your best way to follow what I have to share with you in terms of giving you smart, actionable activities right now. All right. Be well, take care, and I will see you again very soon. Take care.